Coach, hey, thanks for joining me today on this SimpleCoach coach interview. Appreciate you taking the time. I know you're probably still celebrating the Landmark Championship, but really do appreciate you taking some time out of your day to talk with me.
Yeah, no problem. Obviously the off season's a lot more fun when you got a championship in your back pocket. So
yeah, definitely makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, I mean, I let the cat out of the bag a little bit, but let me just start by asking you, just really broadly, when you think of 2022, the 2022 season, what's your sense as to how your team did? How do you think of the season?
I mean, ultimately, I think it was a very positive season for us. Certainly the championship really puts the positivity at a higher level. But I just think the work we did in the off season, our recruiting, the leadership we did, just put our program in a very, very positive state, and it was an exciting season. It was fun. Loved being around the team. So it was a really, I guess, enthusiastic season, especially from the coaching side of things.
Yeah. Was there anything that surprised you, like that you weren't expecting going into it, and then it kind of looking back, you're like, wow, that was great to see either players develop or.
I don't know if it was. I mean, I think maybe the biggest surprise is that we won a championship with such a I guess inexperienced group. But probably the surprising thing, like on a team level, was just how quickly the team came together, especially with 12 newcomers, and their ability to come together as a group, build these relationships in the off season. Our newcomers got to know the team really well through just their interactions over the summer, and we kind of hit the ground running almost when we got here. The newcomers felt really, really comfortable, and our leadership and our upperclassmen just do a great job of welcoming them in, and it really was surprising how quickly it developed. I'm not surprised that it happened that way, but it was surprising how quickly guys really felt like they were at home here.
Yeah. That's important, right? Because if that doesn't happen, man, it could end up being a long season.
Yeah. I mean, our returners in the fall last year said their main priority was just to build relationships within the team and within the newcomers, because they felt like that was something that they didn't, because of COVID and those seasons where we really weren't able to focus on that. That's what they wanted to do, and they made it a priority for themselves in the off season, and I think that's really what helped us.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you the boss's question. I always joke like, hey, this is recorded, so just be mindful. How do you think you did as a coach or a coaching staff?
I mean, I think we brought an enthusiasm to the team. We challenged our team with different ideas. We made, I guess we approached how do I want to say it? We presented the team with a more enthusiastic idea of how we wanted to play. We were very, we wanted to not necessarily do the same old thing as we've done before. So I think bringing new ideas to the team, presenting them, I think we did really well. I think our ability probably, and because we had so many players and we were dealing with, a lot of roster changes and lineup changes, I would say our deficiency is maybe staff is how well we communicated, probably in some circumstances with individuals and in the team, just to make sure that players knew why they were coming in and out of the lineup, or maybe why we made this coaching decision or formation or system change, whatever it was. I think we could have been a little bit clearer with that, and that's based on our evaluation and also the postseason evaluations that we got from some of the players as well. So.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So let me just really broadly, did the landmark shape up the way you thought it would be? Just sort of the competitiveness and sort of who the teams were to, obviously Catholic and then Elizabethtown had a great run. And did it shape up the way you thought it would?
I mean, I guess with Catholic and E-Town being in the mix, that is kind of not surprising. But I thought what was really exciting was to see a team like Goucher really have a great year. And, I think a lot of teams were in the mix till the very, very end. Moravian was in it till the end, and we were obviously in it to the end. Drew was in it until the end. So, I think, again, the conference is so tight and the competitiveness within each team, it was a little surprising how it filtered out at the end, I guess, in the standings. But, it was, I think it kind of played out as the season went along to who deserved to be in there. So.
Yeah. I did notice that there seemed to be a step up in quality just across the board. And even who I think still has work to do, but Juniata, right, like showed moments of, hey, we're starting to step up our game. So
yeah, I mean they're doing a great job. Their coach there, he's a great, enthusiastic young coach, and you definitely see the progress in their program. And again, we played them the last game of the season, and you wouldn't have known that they were out of the playoff hunt. They came in and were prepared and ready to kind of ruin our season. So
yeah. All right, so let me ask you a couple about some rule changes. Now, you only had 2 ties, so this probably didn't necessarily impact you as much. But do you have any thoughts on the lack of overtime? Is it something that you like? Do you think it was a positive, negative, or?
I think that at the end of the day, you want to prepare your team for the postseason, any kind of games. And when the postseason has overtime and you don't play it during the regular season, I think it's hard to prepare your team. And I think overtime is something that probably should happen in the regular season. I think it affects, obviously, there were some teams with astronomical amounts of ties, and I'm not sure coaches understood what ties meant when it comes to rankings and how they're handled and things like that. So, I don't want to say it was like, a negative, but I think that I guess I don't see that rule lasting. I guess I could see it changing back to, even if it's at least, your conference games can't end in a tie. You have overtime in your conference games, so.
I definitely think it bungled the conference, right? Like, it just makes it all that more complicated.
It sure is.
This is a question I've been asking, and just because I always think, it's just a factor. So, do you think did you play any teams that you thought like, they're hunkered down to play for a tie?
I don't think so. I think everybody's in there to go for a win. Especially in the conference. I think the wins, those extra points are so important, especially in a tight race for conference points and conference standings. So if I think back, I don't think there's any teams that were really playing for a tie.
Yeah. Did it change the way you coached? Like 20 minutes left, you're thinking, or are you still just sort of going after at least the 2 games that were you going after?
I don't think so. I think in most games, if we're up 1-0, whether it's overtime or not, we're probably going to be a little bit more defensive anyway in the last 15, 20 minutes, and maybe you sit a little bit deeper anyway. So I don't think we went into defensive postures at all just to like hope we tie a game or you know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's more like I said. I just not. It's new, so I'm just trying to figure out like how it impacts the overall game. So the NCAA voted to extend. I don't understand it, but basically give you 8 more days in the spring.
Yep.
No new games, but 8 more days. But they nixed the proposal to extend the fall season. Do you have any thoughts on that? The extension of the spring and then sort of the same fall?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a coach, you want to be on the field with your players, and I think the additional time in the spring with your team is nice, and it's going to be fun to have that now. I'll be honest, I would take a second play date if it meant less practices of the 24. I think where you could replace whatever, you take 2 of those 24 dates and make them your play dates if you keep 24. You want to play, you want to kind of, you're not going to solve your team's problems on the field or completely in the spring, but if you can introduce things and you have a game, a week or 2 in between your 2 games, you can see how you progress, play a game and make adjustments going into your second week, your second play date. So, the spring's nice. I think it's going to be, like I said, the players are really, really excited about having some more time together and being on the field. They want to play. We want to coach. So, as opposed to the fall, I guess it would have been nice to have that time together, but I think when it comes to the additional funding and financial piece of it, I kind of just assumed it was never going to pass, so I didn't really get that excited. I think, though, like, it was interesting. We had a conversation in our conference, and, obviously football comes in and has this acclimatization period, and I said, well, what's the data say? What are the statistics and data say about football when it comes to these health-related issues in regards to, them coming in early, getting themselves ready for the heat and the regular preseason. And they just said the stats were based on head injuries and not really anything on the aerobic side or, the conditioning side. So I thought, well, it kind of defeats the purpose then of, like, other teams being able to do that because we aren't, wearing helmets and stuff and playing the physical football part of it. But
it is funny. First of all, I don't think, granted, I don't understand the financials of schools and the athletic programs. I fully confess that. But I can't believe that it would cost that much to give you guys another 5 days or 7 days of preseason. You know what I mean? Like, I just do the back of the envelope math. I'm like, what is it? $50 a kid, $100 a kid per day. And then you do the math, and it just doesn't strike me as being overly onerous. And so,
at the end of the day, I think when administrators look at, all the sports that have to come in, and I think budgets are very, very tight right now when it comes to Division III, and the ability to take on those type of funding, I think he either is going to take away from some other things they can do in their department, or
that's true.
And it's hard to generate that money somewhere else if it's not something that the university can supply to the athletic departments. It's hard to fundraise that money, or but
it's a good point. That's legit too. Like, everybody's fighting. And I work in fundraising, so everyone's fighting for the donation dollars, and so I can see, I understand it. It just I'm like, it can't be that much,
Yeah.
But like I said,
I think
no understanding. So
each school is probably different in how they fund their preseasons, and when it comes to meals and things like that, the budget for meals is probably. I mean, I'm assuming that's the biggest expense, and so.
Yeah. Okay. Now you got me thinking about other things. Jeez. All right. So let's talk about the season. You went 13-7-2. You won the landmark tournament, which was, I mean, it was you had a great couple games that to do that. The final was fantastic, I thought. And then you were fourth in the regular season. Went into the NCAAs. You lost to a very, very good John Carroll University. But did it, for you guys, did the landmark shake out the way you thought it would be? Did you think you would end up higher in the regular season? Let's say before it all kicked off, and I won't even mention the tournament, but did you think you would finish higher?
I mean, the way we started the season, the month of September, we were very, very strong, and I think we were like 7-1-1 in September. So we were feeling really good, and we thought that a top 1 or 2 seed would have been within our grasp for sure. We went into the first game against Catholic, and I thought we played really, really well against them. We obviously lost 1-0, but we left that game thinking, all right, well, we're put ourselves in a good spot here. We just have to, win other games, and but we were confident even after that opening loss to Catholic, but yeah, we were hoping, and we thought we could get a 1 or 2 seed for sure.
Now, was there at any point where you thought, man, this team has legs to win the tournament? Like, was there a moment, or did you sort of have that belief, like, hey, we just do our thing, we get to the tournament, and then anything can happen?
Yeah, like I said, I think that through the month of September, we were feeling really, really good. Came to that first game, and I thought that, we were confident. I think if we got into the playoffs, we could win the championship. I thought we had a pretty balanced team with a strong defense, good goalkeeping. We had, a guy a forward that was an opportunistic goal scorer and did a lot for us, and we were much more productive in the offensive end. So that gave us confidence that we could score goals, and we also, were pretty confident we could defend really well as a team as well.
So let me ask you, because the September was awesome, right? Like how you went, and then you seem to be humming, right? Like and then you had 4 losses, one to Keystone, Elizabethtown, Ursinus, and Drew, and then you tied Moravian in there.
Yep.
Do you have a sense as to what was going on at that point? Like, was there,
Yeah, I mean, it was a question we asked everybody, every player in our exit meetings. We had our theories, and I would say 2 things probably played a big factor in that. Injuries, we suffered some key players going out at that stretch that really forced us to shuffle the lineup around. To go into the list of who came in and out of the lineup for injuries at that point, but we missed some significant players. And then I think, the morale of the team, after we lost to E-Town on fall break, we went home, guys were able to go home for a day or 2 and kind of get away from it for a little bit. But I think when you go 0-2 to start, you start to think about, is this going to work out for us this year? And it was a tough stretch for us. We tried to keep the morale high. I give a lot of credit to our leadership. They had a meeting on their own that just kind of galvanized the team a bit there, and kind of got us moving in the right direction towards that end of that stretch there. And so those were some tough couple weeks.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, credit to you guys, right? Because those are turning points, right? Like, and if you don't come out of that, your season just goes down that.
Yeah, and I think we talk a lot about our culture and our team and what we do and what we want to do and how we want to do things. And I think the culture of the team was what got us through it. We had high character players that took a lot of responsibilities to reinforce what we wanted out of the game, out of the season, and that we still have things in our control that we can do. We knew that we got in as a third and fourth seed at that point. Like, we feel confident that we can still win this thing, and it kind of got us going, and ended up working out really well. So.
Yeah. All right. So you made the NCAA's, as I mentioned, and tell me about that game against John Carroll. What was the experience like? Were you? I mean, you haven't been to the tournament in I can't remember how many.
Yeah, since 2016.
Since 2016, like, was that just because? I mean, were you a little bit like, "Ooh, we're in the tournament," or at least your guys?
I think John Carroll was really, really good. I think when you look at the game, they really punished us for some of the mistakes we made in that first half, and when you're down 3-0 in the first half, it's tough to crawl out of that. I think it was probably a little bit of inexperience in the moment, the excitement of being there, but I think John Carroll was really, really good, and when you think back as a coach, what would you do differently? Maybe we wouldn't have been as open as we were and how we played. We really didn't want to change our style and kind of go in and say, hey guys, we're just going to sit deep now and kind of go against how we played all season, and go in with the guys thinking we've gone into this defensive posture. But
which could have been equally as disastrous, right? Because then the guys don't know, what are we supposed to do here?
Yeah. So, but I thought it was a great experience for our team, our young guys, to get a taste of the NCAAs, and then I think even for our seniors that have been 4 years and they hadn't won anything, gone through COVID, to get them in the NCAA tournament and have that experience and to make the most of it. Hopkins, it's a great place to play. It's got a lot of history. Being in Baltimore is nice to kind of get out of our area and experience what Baltimore has to offer. So, but ultimately, you'd like to have advanced to the next game and played Hopkins. But
let me ask you, what did you tell them at halftime? You're down 3-0, and sort of how do you try to rally? Because hey, you went 0-0 in the second half, right? That's a good thing.
Yeah, the basic message was, this could go two ways.
Yeah.
We're a prideful group. I know you've got a lot of character, but the second half, it's going to be, tight, and we could get a goal, crawl ourselves back in, or they're going to beat us 5 or 6-0. So, it's a real test of our character, and I think they rose to the challenge, and we had a pretty, I would say, productive second half in regards to how we ended the game.
Just a couple more questions, and then I'll let you get on with your day. What are your plans for the spring? I've become suddenly this really curious guy about spring and the importance of spring practices as sort of a setup to the fall. And
yeah, I think so we're outside of being on the field. We'll work on, again, identifying some things we can do better within the team, things we identified in our end of the year surveys, just to make sure that we're taking those pieces of information that the students provide us and trying to work on our communication skills. Our guys want to meet more often to know where they stand and have a more connection with. So we'll work on that. What does that look like for the team going into the fall? And then on the field, Coach Dan and I have been talking about just maybe looking at another system in preparation that you have a backup system. So we have a game, 2 games against Division II opponents in the end of April, which will be a really big test. And then so we'll probably look at how can we build a secondary system a little bit and without losing how we want to play in our primary system.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting, right? Because then, if you do that, then you play a John Carroll again. Then you at least have something in your back pocket. You can kind of say, "Hey, we're going to move to this." Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Even in regular season games, like
Yeah.
if you're down a goal and
Mm-hmm.
you want to, take a defender out, go to three in the back. You
Yeah.
need to. I think that's something you have to be prepared for, and we
Yeah.
probably haven't spent that kind of time on that in the past. And we've got a big group of guys for the spring, so it'll be a good time to do it. And I think we'll be
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
productive.
yeah. Lastly, what's your recruiting class look like? How's it going? Is it done? Are you done? Are you still looking?
We're not quite done yet. We have a good group that's committed. The verbal commitment, and deposits are in on most of them. We still have a few other offers out. Probably within the next, I'd say, 2 weeks or so, will probably be finalized. I think the group's really good. We've addressed a lot of areas, based on graduation this year, looking to the future of graduation next year. So we've had some really good pieces, and we're excited about the group just as much as we were excited last year's freshman class as well. And our ability to stack two good recruiting classes on top of each other is really, really encouraging. And we're excited to see this group join the program.
How many seniors are you going to have next year?
I think we're at 7 next year. So we have one boy will be coming off an ACL, so he's sort of up in the air. But I think we have 7 seniors next year.
Yeah. Is that going to make you a young team, do you think? Like with these 2 classes that just came, like, so your sophomore class, freshman class, does that put you on the younger
I mean,
side?
we'll be young. Our freshmen played a lot of minutes this year, so they're going to come into their sophomore year with a ton of experience.
Right.
It'll be a good balance, but we'll be definitely freshman, sophomore heavy
Okay.
next season.
Hey, wasn't the last question because I forgot to write this down, but I'm really interested. Do you do anything on the transfer portal? Are you looking for guys, or do you?
I'm not. I don't go on the transfer portal to recruit. We do get a lot of interest in transfers, and a lot of that comes from, the boys we've recruited in the past may go someplace else, and they reach back out to us. But I kind of go into the portal just to see who's out there. I don't really dig too deep into the portal.
Yeah. Do you have any? I know a lot of coaches are sort of like taking advantage of the portal. Like, do you have any thoughts on it? Just as sort of players being able to be very, hey, if it doesn't pan out, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I mean, I think. I guess at the Division III level, I'm not quite sure that happens maybe as much as maybe at the upper Division I levels. But I mean, I don't know enough about the ins and outs of the Division III players in the portal. I guess I don't follow as closely, but it certainly has opened the door to that. I mean, I think you see that all the time now, especially when you look at these high-profile programs at Division I level, whether it's football, basketball, whatever it is, in and out. The one thing I find very, very interesting is the graduate transfers, the players that, have that COVID year left that want to get that 5th year and they are looking to go someplace else. And I think that creates a very interesting dynamic when it comes to, I guess, recruiting them through the portal and adding them to your team for one season. And, I'd be curious to talk to coaches how they handle that, what the dynamic was like when you announced that to your team or this player's coming in, and so.
Yeah. All right, Coach. Well, now that I know that you're going to be playing some games in April, I may have to pay a visit to go watch. But just want to thank you for your time. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Really enjoyed myself. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us, and thanks for your D3 platform. I think it's great, and
Thank you.
gives the D3 guys a lot of men and women programs a lot of opportunity to share their stories. So
Thank you. I'm trying different
yeah,
things. So we'll get there. We'll get
yeah, I
there.
liked your the end of the year top players for
Oh,
each
yeah,
men's and
yeah.
women's.
I
That
had
was
fun with that.
really
That
good.
was hard. I have to
I
say.
don't know how much video you watched, but that was seemed quite
Yeah.
intense to get all that sorted out. But
That
it was
was
nice.
that was not easy, and I'm not. I think I annoyed some people. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you have to pick a best 11 or whatever, people are going to be left off or
and
whatever.
and
So.
and the worst part is, I should follow. Like the way they do the USC does it, or the NCAA. I should just do that. Like the easiest way. Here's the pool of players. Slice them out and be done with. But no, I have to make it so friggin' complicated that it's like it takes me forever to sort it out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, the coach association has a nice
Yeah.
program to do it. But
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it's all like, hey, type it into this thing, and it'll churn out who the. So anyhow, all right, Coach. Thanks a lot. Hopefully, we'll catch up in person one of these days.
all right, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thanks. If you like this show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. You can also find me on anti-social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks. This is a message from my Chief Marketing Officer. I think this keeps them happy.